It was FA Cup time. It was 0-0. It's a replay, but there's still plenty to talk about. Welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. Welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. I've got to start off hot here because you just heard Editors there as our theme tune. And I'll just be quite plain about this. Richard and a couple of the Telegram guys went to see him. I didn't feel like I was invited. Seb and I, Dave, were sat here doing the Prematch show, and they're off seeing our good friend Ed drumming in Edinburgh. But how was it, Rich?
It was great. What I will add is that so I drove there. Cambridge hates cars.
Yeah,
so it's forever to get out, including a diversion sign that pointed us down a dead end, literally down a dead end. And I had to come back and edit the pre-match show when I arrived home at midnight. So I was editing for, if you pardon the pun, really, till about 1:30, 2 o'clock to make sure it was all ready for 7 o'clock. So I kind of feel like I've earned some points back from.
So, but you realise I messed up the intro about 5 times.
I had to edit that out, mate.
Did that on purpose to get back?
I know you figured it out, but they were great. I saw them, I saw them back in 2002, 2003.
Yeah, I did.
Bit of a different atmosphere, age demographic than maybe back in 2002, but they were on fire. And Ed was great. We had a quick chat with Ed beforehand. He's now got a Blue Monday mug as well. So no, it was a great night.
Excellent stuff. Dave, you sent your son.
I did. He had a great time. Absolutely brilliant time. Yeah, really enjoyed it. It was sort of buzzing that he got the opportunity to meet Ed. I think Ed, he was sort of in the auditorium signing, just sitting, where the merch stand was and stuff like that. So I think you as well, Rich. I think he saw you and sort of leapt on the opportunity to have a chat with Ed. And he said, yeah, he's absolutely top guy, and also extremely talented drummer.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Yeah,
different gravy.
So there you go. That's what we've been up to, and we've been up to an FA Cup game against Burnley, which I thought we would lose, and we didn't. So we're going to talk about that. But you've been to see the ladies; they were playing football. You know, I've just been to see the ladies today, Dave. But how was that this afternoon? God knows. Down that same dead end you drove down in Cambridge.
Yeah, fair play.
Hey.
There you go, Dave. Ladies this afternoon.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. I hadn't been down there. Well, I've hardly played, have they, Rich? Since I haven't been at home since well before Christmas, I don't think. So took the opportunity to go down. It's always great. Our esteemed colleague Richard Woodward was doing I was on the PA. Quite a strange arrangement, the PA down at Felix though, but I've got to say, no, all very well done and all very professional. Yeah, they played Lewis from down Brighton way. And yeah, I mean they're a league above, I think, aren't they, Rich? They're a league above us, and yeah, I think. Well, spoiler alert: at the end of the day, lost to a reasonably late goal. Really good goal, great strike. Which perhaps a bit out of the context with the game. It's a little bit typical Felix, though, a little bit windy. Pitch was a bit lively, and I think Rich would agree there really wasn't nothing in the game, was it, Rich? But, I don't think Ipswich really created that much, but then nor did Lewis. It looked like it was going to go the whole way, stalemate. Extra time penalties, but yeah, a worldly strike was a worthy winner for the game, and he didn't really. Yeah, it's just one of those days. Each team cancelled each other out, but yeah, a bit like the first team yesterday put up a really good fight against a team, one step higher.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It was championship quality to win it, but otherwise similar kind of feelings to Burnley, Ben, in that I probably. On paper, you'd expect to lose, but home advantage, you never know. But we went about it in the right way. We had some extended spells of dominance. May have tested the keeper a little bit more, perhaps. But certainly lots to be proud of. And Lewis, very obstinate opposition. They've only lost twice all season, I think. They are mid-table in the championship, so going really well. So no, nothing to pretty proud of the team, I think, after today. But just a shame we couldn't get that 89th minute equaliser. Well, similar to Sheffield United, which you've been watching this afternoon, Ben, haven't you?
I thought they were they were quite strong, very athletic, weren't they, as well?
Quick.
Yeah, you could see, yeah. I assume full time. I assume they're full time. I don't know, but yeah, very sort of slick outfit, I thought. Yeah. But no, the ladies did really well.
Excellent. And we will say hello to everybody in the comments. We can see you. Get your comments in. We'll put lots of them up on the screen. This is for those people watching on YouTube right now. If you are watching live, please do hit the thumbs up button. It really helps us out with all our recommendations and helps you out as well. If you hit thumbs up on this, you'll get more recommended videos from us as well. So please do. We'll click some of them up. And then when we get to the questions section, we will discuss many. As usual, apologies if it doesn't get clicked up or read out. I'll be trying to get on it. So, Richard, Ipswich 0, Burnley 0. We'll go into detail. We'll look at the teams, but overriding thoughts.
Yeah, I'm very much similar
mindset.
mindset.
Or did I say Burnley?
You said Burnley. I think you just
said
Burnley. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's
just
about
about
chat
okay.
will tell me. Sorry, go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, get in there before the chat does. I think my overriding perspective going down to the game. I need to say hi to Neil, by the way, who I saw in the Greyhound, one of our listeners, subscribers from afar, who regularly travels over from France to come and watch us. And
wow.
So but in the Greyhound, I think we were, it's a low pressure game on paper again, two footballing sides, doing right things at the right side of their divisions, and you hope for a win, but I don't think you to be too disappointed with a draw, and then you think, oh, do we want the replay? Probably not, but more on that later on. But yeah, I was looking forward to a good game of football, Ben, and to be honest, that's what we got. Having sat through a lot of turgid draws in League One over the last few years, where essentially the opposition is here to stop you playing, this was not that, and it was really enjoyable as a result.
You agree with that, Dave?
Yeah, definitely. As 0-0 draws go, I thought it was really pretty entertaining from start to finish. I mean, we were immediately, obviously, put on the back foot by Chris Sutton's prediction again. I fully expect us to actually roll over, but no, it was.
I said
really
2-0
good.
Burnley, Dave, to be fair.
Do you say, okay, mate? Yeah. No, look, you could see, I mean, for once at Portman Road, not surprisingly, they thought edge possession, which I don't think we've had at Portman Road this season. Someone will correct me, I don't think so. But yeah, they're. Very good. Quite, again, a bit similar to what I said about the step up the ladies this afternoon. Look, very, very athletic. Move the ball really quickly. But no, we acquitted ourselves really well. And a bit of luck certainly could have been one up pretty early on in the first half with 2 or 3 half decent chances.
Let's stay with you, Dave, and we'll just look at the sides and what Kieran McKenna and Vincent Kompany actually decided to do, because it's always Seb and I were going round and round in circles on the previous. You never
How
quite know.
How close did you get?
Not very.
I don't think you would really.
No. So it was Hladky in goal, Edmondson, Danasi, and Wolfenden, Jackson and Lee, Morsey and Evans, Aluko, Hurst, Harness. How many of those, Dave, are in your best 11?
At this moment in time, let me see. Our best 11.
Wolfenden.
Last couple of games, 1, 2. I think Wolfenden. I think
Harness.
Edmondson. I think Edmondson's played his way. Certainly played his way back in.
Okay.
Evans and Morsey for sure. Possibly Harness. Harness,
as in maybe Broadhead's sort of ahead of.
Absolutely. But of those starting, I'd say nailed on for me now. I would, like I said, I think Edmondson certainly played his way back in. Wolford and Edmondson, Evans and Morsey. And look, and there was I think 3 or 4. Look, all of the side acquitted themselves really well, but 3 or 4 I think really certainly a couple looking at it. I thought Lee and Jackson both had really, really good games.
Why do you think, we'll just stay with you, Dave, and then we'll go across to Rich. Why do you think he went with that particular personnel, and particularly sort of Jackson?
I just think Jackson, clearly, I don't know if Burns was ever going to play. I think Burns had a tight calf or something. Was it some sort of injury? He went off. I know he got substituted the other evening. I think he did go off injured. I think it was just after he had an injury. So he wasn't going to be risked. And I just think they pretty much played Jackson in that role. And I thought Jackson had probably one of his better games in the blue shirt today. Absolutely. Really, really played well, and really, really gave their, certainly in the first half, gave their left side a lot of a lot of problems. Lee at left back was pretty much given. I think he had to have a game. Davis has been superb, but again, Lee yesterday was absolutely superb. And I think I was speaking to Jim of the Telegram group. I believe it was Jim, who said that he was speaking to a Burnley fan. He came down and stayed over. He's from Bedford, stayed over last night, went to the game today. And they couldn't believe how good Lee was, and he said, "Well, he's not even our first choice left back." So yeah, I mean, look at the bench again. You judge it. Look at the bench yesterday; it's just off the charts, ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, bench there: Ladapo, Broadhead, Chaplin, Luongo, Edwards, Humphreys, Burgess, Vincent Young, and it's decent. To be fair. So go ahead, Dave. Go on.
The goalkeeper was an interesting one as well. I think he also didn't do himself any harm.
We'll come on to that. We've had a lot of back and forth about that. So I'm interested to hear you take on. Similar sort of question to you, Richard. What do you think McKenna's thinking was, and what was your take on what he did?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of sense in lots of different areas, really. I think certainly the players that didn't play is certainly resting them for Cambridge and the real quiz being Cambridge next week, and a few players walking wounded a little bit. Dave mentioned Burns, but Leif Davis, I think, for the last 10 minutes against Morecambe was hobbling a little bit, so that didn't really surprise me. Obviously Clark is cup tied, so was never going to feature, but it's minutes in the likes of George Hurst, who's whilst has been around the Blackburn first team, hasn't really played full matches and isn't necessarily match fit. And Dave's mentioned Caden Jackson, but realistically, this is now his audition to be understudy to Wes Burns, isn't it? He's no longer a number 9 option. So any minutes that we can give to Caden Jackson out on the right hand side makes sense to me. Morsey came off partway through the second half against Morecambe as well. So he's generally played in the cups. McKenna has tried to get that sort of this solid midfield playing in the cups. I was surprised maybe that Humphreys didn't get a nod over Evans, but no, it's a solid enough team that gave us hope that we could pull something off. And well, as we'll talk about, we nearly did. But yeah, a lot of good stuff going on there that I like.
So Vincent Kompany, I'll try and sort of elucidate on what he's done. So Peacock Farrell would normally be Muric, that's 1. Vitinho would normally be Roberts, that's 2. Bayer's the first teamer. Duckhill would normally be Harwood Bellis. I know he's injured, but it wouldn't be him. Taylor would normally be Martson. Bastian would normally be Cullen. Cork's the first teamer. Cherlinov would normally be Benson. Twine would normally be Brownhill. Teller, yeah, fine, that's the first teamer. Rodriguez is the first teamer. So, Dave, I'm calling that 7 backup players out of 11.
Yeah, decent. I like Teller a lot. And Cork's just a decent championship player, isn't he?
You love players who don't move from a 10-metre radius in central midfield and just ping it
about, though, isn't it? He just gets it, very seldom wastes a pass. He's really quite strong in possession. You don't knock him off the ball. Just a good all-round solid player, isn't he? But yeah, Teller, I think, look quite decent. Twine again. I think about 2-footed players. I mean, Twine. We all see Twine, bending free kicks in right foot in the top corner. Saw him do it last week. Man, he was switching play left foot 40-yard crossfield balls. What a talent he is! But played him really well. I thought he played. You might have a take on this. I was a bit surprised how advanced he played yesterday. I'm not sure he usually plays quite that advanced, but. Yeah, good. You could see there's class. Rodriguez. I thought again we played Rodriguez generally well, but again there were certain bits of play from he's just you could see he's that cut above. But yeah, like I said, it was just a good football match between two sides. Looking to play. I tend to agree. I think I sat up in the upper Magnus. I was saying to Rich earlier on, and we noticed this when we were at the academy game the other week. Pitch is ropey. The pitch is really ropey, and I don't think perhaps that does us any favors. I think Kompany didn't use what was an excuse. They got a draw, but he's kind of alluded to that a bit. But yeah, it was overall good game, and yeah, Burnley made 7 changes there. Yeah, pretty impressive.
Yeah, we'll come to Rich in a sec. So bench for Burnley, yeah, look, there they all are: Brownhill, Cullen, Zaruri, Foster, Roberts, Barnes, Ekdal, Martin. Casper
you might say something. The only player I was looking forward to seeing was Benson, and he wasn't even in the squad, was he? Unfortunately, but it's probably just as well, to be fair.
Tremendous. Rich, do you want to? I don't know if you've got anything to say about the Burnley 11, or do you want to take us through maybe up to half time?
Yeah, in terms of, I'd agree. Both Dave and I chatted about Teller earlier, trying to remember him. But I think probably the thing that impressed me most, I was expecting us to be pinned back from the off, but I thought we started the brighter. I mean, we have a chance in the first couple of minutes through Hurst, kind of trying to bundle in from across, but is probably pincered by two of the Burnley defenders, and Harness hits the bar with a really instinctive effort as well. He's getting a bit of a habit of hitting the bar, Harness.
Yeah.
He needs to maybe hit it less hard. But I thought we really went to take the game to them, Ben. I was really surprised how from the kickoff we went for them. Eventually Burnley's quality told, and they got hold of possession. But there weren't too many bits and pieces for Hladky to do. Rodriguez probably has a sight close in where he volleys it way over the bar. Probably maybe a little bit more composure. He could maybe hold the ball up and pick a pass, or maybe even force a save from Hladky at the near post. And Twine, obviously off the back of that winning goal, Ben, against Huddersfield, where Twine announced himself, I didn't think he really contributed a huge amount to Burnley. If I'm Kompany looking to start Twine in his favourite position there, I'd want more than the free kick that he basically put down the barrel of Hladky, which was pretty straightforward for him. I wasn't too impressed with him. I didn't think he influenced it too much, but it might be that I'm not giving enough credit, because when Burnley were on the ball, they were quick. There was definitely that the speed of thought, speed of mind. They're definitely well drilled. We say that about McKenna's side in League One, but Burnley under Kompany are a totally different gravy. They really just instinctively, those triangles, those positions, they know that. But to be fair, Ben, in the first half, it didn't really culminate in a huge amount of attacking output. But it was, as I said, end to end, good possession spells. We had moments. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, Dave, in that first half, apart from those two chances for Harness and Hurst. But
not really.
Entertaining enough, Ben.
Few corners, yeah. I'll tell you what impressed me. They really, when we pressed, and you said about triangles, really tight triangles. Bang, bang, and they'll be away, and through the press, you think, be an heck, yeah. Like I said, just good game. Good game.
I think there was a moment for Jackson. I think he did a cross shot, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
Peacock Farrell had to improvise for.
Pretty good save, I suppose.
Yeah, as I say, I think probably Burnley were more confident. But as you guys talked about in the pre-match, Ben, just it's night and day. And no disrespect to the football they were playing under Dyche, because it was functional and it had an output.
Finished seventh for it in the Premier League with that. Yeah,
but this is just total. And
wow.
To do this turnaround in that quicker time. I mean, they started the season strongly, but the way they were playing felt like they've been playing it for years, Ben. It really
they improved. They improved through September, October. They were drawing a lot, and I mean, 13 wins from 14 is absurdly good. So yeah, and I do think we need to say I know we've given Vincent Kompany plenty of credit, but the fact that it's 7 non-first teamers and you guys are praising the sort of functionality of the system, and particularly the fullbacks Martson and Roberts, that system, they do so much, don't they? And the inside forwards tuck in to be with the reserve fullbacks, and it's a like you say, it's a different level. Dave, who was sort of, what was the psychology in the second half? Did both managers try and win it? Because I take it neither of them wanted a replay.
Yeah, I think so. Don't you? I think so, without really creating too much, really.
Talk about the subs on 60, Dave. That probably tells the story.
Well, there you go. On 60,
2 times triple subs.
On 60, you had Broadhead, Ladapo, and Chaplin coming on for Luco, Harness, and Hurst. You think, what? And then they had Zarori and Foster. Zarori for 60, I think. Then subsequently after Foster, Brownhill for Twine, Cullen for Bastian, and then 5 minutes later, I think it was Foster for Rodriguez. So yeah, certainly both sides were going at it, but not really too much created. Really, it was a brilliant bit of play from Davis Lee just in front of me, where he sort of looked like he was going to, shielding the ball. Actually, got ahead of his fullback, clipped a brilliant cross to the back post, just over Wolfenden. And yeah, probably in hindsight, Jackson perhaps should have taken the chance and actually moved and tried volleyed it, but took it down, and that was blocked out. Christ, was it Teller or Zarori who had the half volley for them?
Teller.
Wowzers. Yeah, which again, not at the angle I was, but just went past. And then quite late on, Chaplin had a cross come shot, which sort of Peacock Frail did he tip on the bar? Looked like he sort of just tipped it on the bar, but sort of came out and dropped down, and Adapo was just too far away, wasn't it? And there wasn't a chance as such. But yeah, other than that, there was a lot of good play in the second half, but not too much. Not too many clear-cut chances, I'd say, if any, to be fair, for both sides.
I think Burnley definitely...
Rich, sorry to interrupt. I'll come to you in just a second. I just want to say thank you to David, €10 on the super sticker in the chat. If you do want to support financially, it's absolutely free, and you're doing us a solid just by hitting a thumbs up, but you can via super chat. And a big thank you to David again there. Thank you. Rich?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a reverse of at least the start of the half. Burnley definitely had a bit of a rocket from Kompany. He was quite active on the touchline. I wasn't necessarily expecting him to have to be like that, but clearly you make that many changes, players maybe a little bit
Rich,
unfamiliar.
Sorry to interrupt, Rich. In that first game against Huddersfield, he ate Danny Schofield alive in the technical box. Do you know what I mean? Just by prowling in his presence. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, that's the thing with him. Continue, sorry.
Right, yeah, and as Dave mentioned, there's the effort for Teller. There's the moment where I think Lee and Hladky have a little bit of cross wires, and Rodriguez, I think it is, has the volley, which allows Hladky to do his Superman impression. But,
that was a comedy moment. I didn't quite know what's going on there.
But then as the second half wore on, I think the atmosphere was great yesterday. Certainly where I was in the North Stand and section, the Blue Action guys were up in the Cobbold.
How did that work out?
So I think it helps because for people who the acoustics of Portman Road are crap anyway. So the likelihood of people in the South End noticing much difference is unlikely as far as I'm concerned. But the issue as a North Stander, particularly right in the middle of the lower tier of the North Stand, is it's a really long, thin tier essentially, but the sound just doesn't travel. So section 6 doing their stuff in section 6, section 4 doing their stuff in section 4, and you get two lots of the stand chanting completely different things at odds with each other. And actually having Blue Action up in the Cobbold chanting across us really helped coordinate it all a little bit. So I think that's got some merit there. But I felt like the crowd really played an active role, and every 50-50 there was a cheer for that, and referee getting on the linesman's back a little bit, trying to make it a bit hostile for them. Dave's right. There wasn't a huge amount of chances, and Clinton Morrison is going to be, as a striker, is going to be looking for goals, and there weren't any goals, were there? And
I got to stand up for him. I have.
Yeah, he's not wrong, is he? If you want entertainment,
he's no go.
Possession is purest entertainment, what we saw. But yeah, there were moments in there, and yeah, the keepers haven't had a huge amount to do, if we're honest. But yeah, I mean, should we talk about the fact it ended in a draw? Because I think there was a moment at the end, there's a save for Hladky. It's hit right down the centre of the goal. And I turned to the guy next to me in the North Stand and said, Hladky should just let that roll underneath his leg. You know what I mean? We'll get away with one. But I think someone said in the chat, you could name a full 11 of rotated players who are unlikely to play against Sheffield Wednesday. And Sheffield Wednesday have got a replay anyway. They've got to go to Fleetwood. But I kind of think, and maybe Dave's got a thought on this as well, I kind of feel like we earned the 0-0. It'd be great to have earned and snuck a win and got ourselves in the hat outright.
No, Rich, you
lose that game is really important, I think, psychologically as well.
You're totally right. And we'll throw to Dave in a sec. Context is king on that. And pre-game, yeah. And me and Seb were, no replays, please, no replays. But if, like we were hoping for, it was vaguely competitive and both sides were going for it, then Dave, the context changes then at 80 minutes, doesn't it?
And again, I take the point what Rich said about, the shot right at the end down Hladky's throat, but you don't want to concede again. You don't want to concede again that late. It's the whole stigma and the whole, point. The whole mental fragility that goes with that. You don't want to be doing that. So I think absolutely dead right. We deserve the replay, and absolutely right. We can, one mention, which is probably maybe even the highlight of the second half. And actually, perhaps got us on the front foot again. Luongo comes on for Morsey and makes this 50-50 tackle.
Yeah,
And
someone mentioned
oh my
that
word! And that just
mentioned in
got
the
the
chat, actually,
oh, there
yeah.
you go. And that just gets the crowd so up, doesn't it? It was an unbelievably good challenge. And I tell you what, he looked. I know it was only a very little 10, 12-minute cameo. He looked really.
I can hear him getting carried away, Rich. Listen to
No.
it.
But, Rich was saying he looked really assured, didn't he? Really assured. Yeah, I forgot about that. Another sort of bright spot really from yesterday. And Ben, you're so right. For the replay, goodness me, look at that squad. You could rotate. And again, spoiler alert, we might get to this. The sort of slight icing on the cake is Sheffield Wednesday have got to do the same and go away to Fleetwood.
Yep.
Which wouldn't have been ideal had they got through or otherwise.
I just put the team back up. Of the fringe players, and we'll see if you two agree on these. Who had a good day, Dave?
Certainly Jackson. Certainly Lee. I mean, do we call Edmondson a fringe player, really? I think, okay, we only played, I say only, look what they did yesterday. Played Morecambe. I thought he was really good against Morecambe the other night. And again, yesterday, I don't know what Rich thought. I thought he was very, very good again. And I know Joe's always advocated this, and he is right that Burgess, and perhaps we can see that, Burgess has his limitations. I quite like the right foot, left foot combination, but Edmondson is just so much better on the ball, which is, what you want. Yeah, certainly I'd pick out. Do you know what? And Fladky did well, but do you know what? I think a special shout. Danassian, clearly from the outset, they were targeting Danassian. They were pressing, but they were really putting the press on Danassian. And there were one or two shaky moments, I think, early on. You'd probably say the same, Rich. I just thought he came, obviously his spot is hugely under threat now from Clark. I just thought he came through the rest of the game with so much credit. He was superb for the rest. I thought he was for the rest of the game. So, out of those, certainly Hurst, Raw looks like he needs minutes to me.
Yeah.
I fully expect Ladapo to be in from the start on next Saturday, I think. But yeah, I think certainly Edmondson and Lee, I think with it too. And look, in Jackson, we all know Jackson. But yeah, you said there was some chat about Fladky. That was an interesting one.
Yeah, there's a lot of people coming out yesterday after the game and heaping a lot of praise on Fladky, and certainly he did, exactly what you'd hope for him.
Drop Bolton.
But I think there's maybe this thing. I think people have got a little bit of worry about Walton, and we can't pretend that he hasn't been partial to. There's a bit of culpability in some of the goals that we've conceded. He's not been certainly at the high standard when he started his town spell, but he's still, for me, the better all-round goalkeeper. And you'd not drop him. I guess the positive for Hladky is, I think it's another reminder that he's a capable backup. And if Walton's form, drops off a little bit, then you'd have absolutely no worries at all about sticking Hladky in there. Whereas I think if you rewind a few months, I think all of us might be a little bit worried. If Walton, if we go back to October time, November time even, and Walton's out injured for a couple of weeks, I think we maybe get a little bit apprehensive. Whereas I don't think we do that anymore. But the idea that Hladky did something, he's a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 on Saturday, I'm personally just not buying it. I think it was a good cameo, good memory reminder for everyone, and maybe a good nudge for Walton as well, which maybe he's not had.
I think he's probably slightly better than Walton playing out with his feet. I think he's probably slightly better. But
okay.
The shot stopper, all-round goalkeeper, don't think so. But as Rich quite rightly said, if Walton had a miss, do you know what? At the start, it was quite funny because at the start of the season, we used to do a little thing at the Greyhound where we had a little PA in the nice weather, PA set up at the front, and Russell Osman, I used to
sing like some Buble, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Read the teams out. And I so wanted, Russell Osman always used to read the teams, but I so wanted to get up on the mic and start, and Ipswich, in goal, Hladky, and just hear the Suffolk side go around the Greyhound. But I don't just use that as an analogy. I just don't think you'd see that now, But no, Walton is still number one.
But I think this is good because football fans are very bad at making things very binary and very black and white. And of course, when you get to goalkeepers, it becomes one or the other. I think it's very interesting that we can have a conversation where I was very much, and it's not just because he agreed to come on our podcast and speak to Richard, I was very much, look, Walton 1, Pladkey 2, very, very much. But I think you can have a reasonable conversation to say that they're possibly slightly closer together after, say, 2-3 months. And it's not to say that they won't move back apart. But I think it's an interesting topic. And yeah, I take your point totally, Rich, that it gets very binary, doesn't it? If he's moved to here and he's moved to here, switch the two completely over, and that I think that's just
and of course, no, you're right. What was interesting for me yesterday, just change it up slightly. I sat in the Magnus Upper yesterday with my lads, and so you sit around different people. Guy next to me was the biggest Freddie Ladapo hater out there, right from when he came on. Ladapo, what's he going to bring to? Well, he scored like
McCarthy.
15, he scored like 15 goals. He's probably going to score 20. Oh my word! Yeah, but it was quite funny listening to it.
Rich, we went off on kind of two tangents. I just wanted to get your take, Rich. Oh, no, it's a good conversation. I just wanted to get your take, Rich, on does anybody now, from what you saw yesterday, I'm not saying do you now put anyone in the team if you play Sheffield Wednesday, say tomorrow? Does anyone have more chance of being involved in some way, shape, or form after yesterday in a game? And let's be honest, a massive game is Sheffield Wednesday.
I don't know. I think Edmondson is now. Edmondson's a nail-on starter for me now, and partly because I've had a little bit of a worry about Burgess and his involvement in some of the goals we've conceded. And as we said, marginal. It's not as if he's making stupid mistakes, but he's deflecting these shots, and therefore you've kind of got to look at it. So I think Edmondson's 2 game. He's had a really great week, hasn't he, with Morecambe as well?
Yeah.
But looking through there, Ben, we knew that Greg Lee was excellent backup, but you can't, he's not being dropped for Davis given his output in terms of assists. And he, I think Lee's better defense. Well, sorry, let me get this right. Lee's solid defensively, probably doesn't have the attacking prowess that Davis has. So again, really positive to have that excellent backup. And we know that Lee can come off the bench as well when Davis is maybe tiring. Apart from that, Ben, I don't think we learn anything new. I know Dave was quite positive on Jackson. He's got that pace, that raw pace. He got in great positions. I'm still not convinced that his end product is good enough.
I just think, Rich, is he not now in a position where, and I'm talking as a substitute, where he can be incredibly useful if you're maybe defending a lead and Sheffield Wednesday are going to be coming onto you and you want a ball over the top, or I don't think he was. I know Mumba scored in the game against Plymouth at Home Park, but for the most part, he did a really good job at wing back in that game, and he starts to almost look like a very useful tool in certain situations, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that pace, that explosive pace is, it's unparalleled in the rest of our squad, and it's probably unparalleled in most of the rest of League One as well. I think it's a really, there was the reason I think that he stood out yesterday was that I don't think Burnley were doubling up on him at all, and there were moments where we deliberately, I think, played quite wide and stretched it, and he was on the touchline, and so Evans released him, and he was in, behind the fullback, and that kind of strategy works really well. But I still think, Burns has been scoring and creating goals at the last few weeks, and that's the benchmark for him. And if he can do that, if he can be more consistent with his output, then he's going to be a really strong backup option there. But in terms of Aluko had a cameo, didn't he? I didn't think he really was able to contribute.
There was one bit of skill in the first half.
Nice bit of turn,
where he sold 3 players. He dropped his shoulder and dragged it, and then someone I think could have been even Cork was booked for it. He pulled him back. But yeah, he was. What a just great player to have around the squad, for goodness sake. Tell you what, with Jackson yesterday, he did a lot of really good defensive work as well. To be fair to him, he was winning headers at the back post, for goodness sake. Yeah, he did himself credit, but Lewis, you're dead right, and Ben's dead right. He's clearly not playing for a number 9 shirt anymore. He is going to be, back up in that wide role.
And I think just to finish on Hurst, Ben, I think, he's clearly not had the minutes at Blackburn that maybe we'd hoped. And again, there's moments there, not a huge amount of chances for anyone yesterday, but he gets that goal in the second minute, for example, and maybe he goes on and has a bit of a different game. But he just needs to get confidence through us and get minutes under his belt, and he'll be fine. But to me, he's not replacing Ladapo at Cambridge next week. Put it that way.
No, he isn't. Do you know what? He's got for me, he's got the look of a rampaging number 9, though, hasn't he? He's just got that look about him, hasn't he? He's big and strong, and and again, it's confidence. Look, with any forwards, any centre, any number 9s, it's a confidence. It's such a confidence position. So he gets a goal, and he could well be off and running. But I just wouldn't see him replacing Ladapo next weekend. That's for sure.
Right. We'll have a little look at the FA Cup and who's still in the draw on the one show tomorrow night, who we could get drawn away to and then not beat Burnley in the replay. Then we'll have a little look at what went on in League One, and then we will go to your questions to finish with. So just hold fire in the chat if you're ready with your questions. In the hat on Friday night, which is on my screen there, Manchester City are a possibility. They beat Arsenal. Leicester is a possibility. They beat Walsall. Leeds United beat Stanley. That's a possibility. Blackburn and Birmingham, we'll actually know because their replay is on Tuesday coming rather than the 7th like ours is going to be. Bristol City still in the hat, both Fulham and Sunderland. Obviously ourselves and Burnley. Luton and Paulhurst Grimsby still in the hat. You can still find them. Sheffield Wednesday are still in the hat. That would be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Put it that way. Mick McCarthy and Blackpool are not in the hat, but Nathan Jones and Southampton are. Spurs are still in the hat. Manchester United still in the hat. And Derby and West Ham play tomorrow night. They will also still be in the hat. Let's jump across, guys. And if I click buttons really nice and quickly, and I'm able to talk like an absolute pro here while I'm doing it and keep things hopefully remotely interesting, you will be able to go through the League One action with me that occurred yesterday. I probably clicked about 8 buttons there when I only needed to click about 2. But this is what went down yesterday. As ever, guys, pick out a game that you might want to talk about. I'll kind of summarise anything. So one of our playoff challenges there, still a potential to meet our old friends Bolton in the playoffs. Bolton has strengthened nicely up front now as well. They won 2-1 at Charlton. They brought in Cameron Jerome and Victor Adebayo, who's Burton's top scorer, is in there, and the lad Shortire on loan from Manchester United. Speaking of Burton, they beat our foggy conquerors Oxford 2-0. It was Cheltenham 0, Port Vale 0, and Lincoln's ridiculous home record. It's now 11 draws, I believe, or 12 draws in 14, 11 in 13. Someone will correct me in the chat. But more pertinently, Cambridge are still kind of stinking it out ahead of our game against them. MK 0, Exeter 2, Morecambe 5, Bristol Rovers 1. Yeah, Rich, I'm gonna. Your shrug sums it up. Say no more. Peterborough 2, Pompey 1. Darren Ferguson's won both his games in charge. I'll say no more. Shrewsbury Town 2, Duncan Ferguson's Forest Green Rovers 1. Frank Lampard's Derby County, Roy Keane's Ipswich. Anything, David, you want to talk about in those results yesterday?
I mean, I'd like it. I mean, the Morecambe result. What is that about? How on earth? I mean, honestly, I know we played well the other night. We did play well first half, we just blew them away. But what? And I saw they had the most hapless left-sided player the other night. I think it was. I can't remember.
Was it Donald Love?
He scored. Sorry?
Was it Donald Love? Or was he right back?
No, it wasn't. I'm sure it
the
was.
Left back it was the.
I'll bring it up. Hang on.
He was out of position. He was forward out of position.
He actually scored yesterday. Yeah. He was hapless. He was awful. Well, I mean, and Bristol Rovers been on pretty much half decent run, haven't they? What? I mean, Burton 2, Oxford. I forgot, honestly.
They just turn up for us, don't they, guys? These teams just turn up to us.
And just I don't know, Rich, what to dwell on this, but the Charlton-Bolton game. So Charlton started, I think it was at 30% of town players, wasn't it, with Penny and Fraser and Macaulay Bonne. Oh, their winning goal was just dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. But
great free kick in the first 5 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It just keeps Bolton annoyingly there, especially after what Derby did in the week, doesn't it? When they 1-0 down till about 5 minutes to go, weren't they? I think. Yeah, they just keep grinding it out.
It actually starts to look quite interesting, Rich. Between you would let's quote, never rule out Wickham. I don't think Shrewsbury will get there, but fair play for 4 wins on the trot. But that sort of 6th place, 5th place between, look, Bolton are 7 points clear, but looking at 6th place for Barnsley, Posh, Wickham, etc. What's your take?
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Well, look how many games Barnsley have played.
Everyone just keeps winning. I guess they don't though. Look at the
They got 4 games in hand on Bolton. I know 7 points behind, but
3 on us.
Yeah, I know.
The key for us though is just as we keep talking about, our fixtures are really, really generous over the coming weeks, apart from Sheffield Wednesday. So we just got to keep winning. But it does feel like maybe, and it's one of these ones like, and your question, a game that you want to pick out. Only Ipswich concede late goals. Well, welcome to League One, Duncan Ferguson. I mean, man, 94th and 98th minute.
No, was it?
Goals at Shrewsbury. And from the edge of the box as well. I think the winner was, but
there can't be anything left of that changing room, can there? There can't be anything left.
He went for the referee. You could see him mouthing to referee 6 minutes of added time. 6 minutes.
No.
It's like, well, yeah, I know your pain, mate. But yeah, I guess I think the positive thing, Ben, as we talk about is, and as opposed to last year, we've got the points on the board now, haven't we? So it's about what we do and keep winning to keep ourselves in contention with the top 2. But it does feel just really ominous that, we know about Derby. It'd be really great if they knocked West Ham out and stayed in the cup as well, wouldn't it? Sheffield Wednesday, I guess you've got to say his favourites.
I know Dave saw West Ham, but he needs a win, doesn't he?
Big time.
Big time. Yeah.
But concentrate in the league. But it's really competitive, Ben, again, isn't it?
By the way, on Derby, and I'm sure all Ipswich fans have spotted this, their run away from home, and I'll bring it up on the screen, and I'm clutching at straws here. Their run away from home is minging. They go away. Listen to this, Dave. They're at Wickham, then Barnsley, then Plymouth, then Oxford, then Peterborough, Forest Green, Bristol Rovers, Exeter. So they've got 4 or 5. Look, and if Paul Warren goes through and 2 points per game is that lot, then they bloody deserve to get above us, don't they? So, there you go. Right, guys, we'll do a couple of plugs, but get your questions in the chat for myself and Dave and Richard. Fill that up now. We'll go to them right now. But Dave, do you want to give a little plug for our Telegram group?
Absolutely superb and growing by the day, I think. Rich will probably be able to fill his in on how many Telegram followers, but I think a great alternative to Twitter. Rich will me right. I think the first 2 weeks free, is that correct? Yep. And then subscription after that. But no, it's caught fire, especially seemingly in the last certainly in the last few weeks. So great debate. Good, honest, solid football debate on there. So yeah, really, I think everybody's really enjoying that, which is great.
And Rich, none of the crying. You're allowed to disagree with someone without delete, mute, block, aren't you? In that group.
Yeah, exactly right. As we keep saying, the best PR for our Telegram group is just check out the discourse on Twitter. It's the polar opposite, isn't it? But we do have discussions, we do have different views, but unsurprisingly, grown-ups, when you know who the person is as well, when it isn't like a faceless avatar, you could generally be more respectful. And we're loving it, and it's great, and lots of different variations on the chats as well. The match day group is fantastic, particularly if you're not at the game, joining the chat there. But stuff on ITFC women, stuff on the academy, stuff on non-football and all that other stuff, so plenty going on there. So do come and join us. We're well over 3 figures now for people in the Telegram group, but it doesn't feel like it's not congested or crazy busy. There are peak times, but
it's nicely done.
It flows nicely.
Let's get into the questions. This is not a question, but I'm sure it's just worth mentioning. Last day of the season, Sheffield Wednesday versus Derby. And if you remember, in the behind closed doors season, they played each other on the last day of the season for relegation in the Championship. So there is still a chance they can beat each other up and trip over each other, and maybe we can mosey on through, Dave.
All I've got to say about that one, let's hope it's the final game of the season.
Yes, that would be very, very nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What should we go? Richard, is Jackson really coachable, and that's why he's so persistent under McKenna? I mean, that's a fair point. A string of managers have now not bombed him out.
I was going to say, I was about to say exactly the same thing. If Hurst, Lambert, Cook, I think maybe frozen out a little bit under
the Mount Rushmore of football managers.
Oh, shit managers! If we pardon me,
some really rubbish statues somewhere.
There was some really fun Cook impressions today at the women's game for no reason whatsoever, which was I won't get back into it. But yeah, as I said, that explosive pace is a massive athlete. There was Danny Haynes suddenly came into my brain, because you recall that we couldn't really make a proper footballer out of Danny Haynes. He did make a huge amount of contribution to us, but I think Jackson is much more coachable, and if you can get that output, I think it's because everything happened so quickly for him, and he's charging down the field. He just needs to take a breath maybe before he makes his final pass, but McKenna's the one to bring the best out of him, isn't he? So yeah.
And also I think a lot of that must be down to his attitude. He must have a really good attitude.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah,
really
professionalism is.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what we want.
And that is. How should we do this? Because we'll do this for about an hour, Andrew's questionnaire. So what we need to do is we'll just quickly go round. So goalkeeper, Walton, Rich. Sorry, the question for anyone listening on Acast and iTunes is, what do you think? What do you each think our best 11 is? So Walton in goal, all agreed?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Centre backs, Dave. Who are the three?
I think now Clark, Wolfenden, and Edmondson.
Richard at the back. We're four, aren't we?
Well, say it how you like. If it's a lopsided.
If you're saying three, yeah. If you're saying four, so yeah, Clark, Edmondson, Wolfenden, and Davis.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no. So Burgess out for both of you.
Yep.
Yeah, now, yeah.
Morsey Evans, yeah.
Yeah,
Non-negotiable. And then, do you number 9 first, Dave?
The Dapper.
Yep.
Rich.
Yep. Right now.
Not Hurst yet. And your inside forwards.
Chaplin and Broadhead.
Yeah, I think I really like Harness, but I think I'm there.
You can't leave Chaplin.
Yeah,
Chaplin
same.
is so good.
Oh, I'm not leaving.
We missed out
Chaplin.
Burns.
No, sorry, yeah. Sorry.
And we missed Burns as well, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I was calling. Burns at wing back and Clark and inside centre back. However you want to.
Asymmetric 4-2-3, whatever.
However you want to.
That's decent, isn't it? If you can field that side for generally the remainder of the league games, we shouldn't go far wrong, should we?
Dave, sounds like the door is still ajar on potential new signings. If one does happen, what position will it be? I think if it's ajar, it's very minutely ajar, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, I'd have thought so, especially after the Clark signing that can play either right or centre back, as we understand. So yeah, I just don't see it. More surely potentially out. Do we think?
Pass. I mean, Obafemi's now in at Burnley. If Swansea want to try us for Wolfenden, isn't he?
Well, no, I don't mean that, but I mean maybe fringy players like.
Oh no, it's just I saw in the Telegram they haven't got the money. I was like, they will have.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, we'll have maybe Vincent Young.
That'd be out, wouldn't it? I
saw someone mention Edwards, but I personally think I still really like to see him kept as a impact type player. I think he's got value to give.
You got to name a bench, Dave. I'm just not sure Edwards. I'm being really boring and I'm broken recordy today about output. But how can you leave? You now got Harness on the bench. If you start in Broadhead, Harness is now on the bench, isn't it? You've got obviously Hurst on the bench as well. Humphreys is on the bench. I'm just thinking, have you got space for Edwards, Aluko? Who I'm missing. I'm probably missing other people.
I think the manager seems to like him in that role. Did he make the bench against Morecambe? I can't remember. Maybe he didn't actually, but certainly the manager kind of likes him in that role.
I just don't think there's enough fit for Edwards, and I would rather Edwards gets a loan and plays. I just think it's going to be really tough to get on our bench now. Even if we sold a couple, just think, I
think
feel sorry for
I
Edward.
think he'll still get on our bench.
Okay.
I really do.
Morgan Whittaker still wanted, no, now that Broadhead's signed and John Jules is coming back. What's the situation with him then? Because there was not mentally ready to play and be selected in the Swansea squad the other day. Although I think that often is more to do with the 3-club rule, isn't it? And not. Well, did he appear for Swansea before Plymouth? I can't remember. He did, but I think that ship has sailed. Any chance of a Cook impression over the PA at Felixstowe, Richard?
Tell you what,
not even my own voice goes over the PA system at Felixstowe. It's a little bit decrepit. No disrespect to our friends.
What would be creepy would be a Cook impression at Felixstowe on the PA in the shed. That would be certainly creepy.
Oh,
my shotgun shack. Yeah.
Any more in the questions?
I saw a good one from, I think might have been Romeo, about replays, which is something that's on my grinds my gears a little bit, about whether it's time to allow. Well, I'm not sure. Am I right in
saying they don't have them in the fifth? And sorry, Romeo, I can't see it, but we'll talk about. Actually, what I wanted to ask you now as well is what's obviously a win, but what's a good outcome in terms of the replay, which I think, is that confirmed now for the
I think it's
7th
Tuesday,
of February?
So. It's showing in some of
the...
So
in between Cambridge and Sheffield Wednesday, yeah?
Yeah.
How do you play that, Richard?
As I said at the start, there's a full 11 there that isn't in that team that we've just mentioned. That first starting 11 against Sheffield Wednesday, there's a full 11 there. I can't do it off the top of my head, but most of the team yesterday, Burgess comes in for Edmondson, Keogh comes in for Wolfenden.
And is it literally you play Cambridge with the first team, you split the squad in half.
Yeah,
they do recovery on the Monday, and McKenna goes with his FA Cup team. They get the day off. They don't travel on Tuesday. The reserve team goes up to Burnley. What happens, and they then recover on Wednesday, and he's back with the first.
That's the way that I do
Wednesday,
it. And you got Luongo and Humphreys who can play in centre mid. You'd still go with Jackson and Aluko and Harness and Hurst as well. So I would do that. I wouldn't even put them on the bus.
What about Tom Adeyemi?
What about
he's got.
Someone mentioned Scudless to me yesterday.
Forgotten about him. We have forgotten about Tom Adeyemi. I think he is still around the building somewhere.
Is he? I think he's back on the grass.
He's doing a bit of painting and decorating or something in the building. I'm not sure what he's up to.
But yeah, that's the way that I'd do it. But in terms of Romeo's question, I just think in 2023, can we not have the common sense that the managers, it's a replay unless the managers agree to continue? If both managers say, let's end it here and now, we'll do extra time and penalties, then they should be able to do it.
Prior to yesterday? So after the draw?
No, in general.
The draw, you're suggesting, I sound like that woman that interviewed Jordan Peterson, don't I? So you're saying, the draw...
Yeah, I'm eating beef every meal,
after the draw, the managers can put in a request to say no replay, but if it's Stevenage versus Man United and they can get an away game, obviously Stevenage would not put in a request because...
So both the referee goes over to the dugouts. If both managers say...
Oh no, Rich, it's got to be done a week before the game, surely.
Really?
Yeah. You've got to know.
You can't. You can't.
Whether you're playing a 90-minute game, your fans have got to know.
Oh, okay.
You might even get more people in the ground if they know it's going to be decided on that.
Fine.
I know what you're saying.
Maybe not a week, but okay, fine. Because if you're Wrexham today, you'd never agree to that, would you? You want your replay because you're on the telly, don't you? So that's fine with me. But
not against 10 men with extra time coming up. But I'm being pedantic now.
But sorry. What I mean is, in that situation, I'd expect Wrexham to say, well, we want the replay. If we get a draw, we want the replay. Whereas I think most teams would say no thanks, we'll end it. But I was kind of thinking do it, decide, make the decision on the day. But even if it's decided a week in advance, I think that's fine with me. But anyway,
we got like 30-man squad. I still want the 70s back and 4 replays. 4 replays I want. Penalties, no way. Totally devalued the FA Cup.
I do accept the argument that you can't take away the opportunity from Boreham Wood if they draw Arsenal at home to go and play. If they can get a 1-1 draw or whatever. Right. Let's talk about Cambridge. Famous last words. We'll do the preview properly later in the week. Dave, Cambridge are absolutely rubbish.
I mean, how often have we said it season after season and this season? Along come Ipswich. Look.
And to be fair, I like Mark Bonner, and I think
look,
last season as well, with win the FA Cup game against Newcastle and finishing as high as they did, brilliant, amazing stuff. But they are they've been the worst team in the league on paper, Dave.
Given the resources,
from like mid-September,
stinking the place up, haven't they, recently? And given their resources, we just got to put teams like that away. We really have got to start putting teams like that away. And again, there's no disrespect to Cambridge, but we have. There is a golfing class, but it just needs to show. We need to start showing that. We need to be ruthless. Get the early goal, get another one, pile it on. Just be ruthless and put these teams away, get the 3 points, move on to Burnley with the reserve side, as Rich said, and then start to consider Sheffield.
FLP said Cambridge were dirty yesterday.
Dirty Cambridge.
We should. I mean, look, it's Abbey Stadium, isn't it?
It's tight.
Tight, not. It's not playing. But earlier in the show, Rich, you were talking about Jackson not being doubled up on and having way more space than if he was playing against Morecambe with a right back at the inside forward and the right wing back all trebled up down the side. So. But like Dave says, you just if it's promotion, you've just got to get this done against these teams that are in the bottom 5. And again, for people who want to clip this stuff out, with all due respect to the brilliant job Mark Bonner has done.
I mean, firstly, there's the version of Cambridge which is what we tried to do in the pre-match, which is remove the emotion out of it and look at the stats, and there's just a long old run here. There's a win against Shrewsbury on Boxing Day with a red card in it for Shrewsbury, but otherwise it's then back-to-back losses. Do you know what I mean? A draw
against Shrews.
Yeah, it was, and a draw.
And then did Shrews do them like 5-0 in the?
Yeah, they did. They 5-1. Yeah. 5-1. I think that was midweek, wasn't it? And then a draw away at Lincoln. Everyone draws at Lincoln. I think there's just remove the emotion out of it, and we've just got to do what we did to Morecambe, and we've got to do what we did to Cambridge earlier in the season at home as well. We've got to be patient. If we can get the early goal, great, but they will. I'm not sure they will be able to live with us in an attacking sense, and if they try to attack us, I'd imagine we pick them off. So it needs to be a blood and thunder defensive job for them, doesn't it? Hold on as long as you can, and then fluke a goal like most teams do against us, but. The emotion, Ben, is that we've got a really shocking record there in the league, like we have at Oxford. And McKenna really needs to figure out a way to get that psychology out of our minds, because I'm sure the players don't know that. And I've just said it now out loud, and I'll probably say it again on the pre-match as well. But it's on paper,
statement of objective fact, isn't it?
Play the game, play the game, and don't play the. It'll be a big game for Cambridge, probably their biggest home game of the season in terms of spectacle. They just got to play the game and not play them, the crowd and the emotion that their fans will want to bring to it. And we just need to be professional. If it's a 1-0, that'll do for me.
And Dave, I know I'm going to invite lots of very boring and reductive. We only need to concentrate on ourselves. But Sheffield Wednesday v Plymouth next Saturday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wowzers. I mean, I don't. What is the best? Plymouth win is the best score, isn't it? Is it?
It depends whether you want to drag Derby and Ipswich into a 4-team everyone kapow, or you just want to not bother about Plymouth and try.
Well, what's the word? The worst result in that game for us is surely a Sheffield Wednesday win, isn't it? Yeah. That's the worst result. So look, anything but a Sheffield Wednesday win. I think we'd happily
not beating Cambridge. That
yeah. So almost taken as read, and again, no disrespect, but we beat Cambridge, and anything else than a Sheffield Wednesday win,
exactly,
you're either 2 or 3 points closer. So,
Dave, exactly right. I was saying, Rich, the same thing about Sheffield Wednesday the other week. They just beat Fleetwood and sit back and see what Ipswich and Plymouth do, because somebody is going to be dropping some points, right?
Yeah. We just got to beat whatever points Sheffield Wednesday keep getting for the next few weeks, don't we? That's the game now, sadly.
Both teams get admin. That would be a 12-point deduction. So that would work quite well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Guys, we're coming up the hour, so I think we will cut our lovely podcast here and now. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Richard, what do we have to plug? I can't remember.
I think we might have a night off midweek. We'll see what's going on. If deadline day suddenly gets exciting, we might do something. But otherwise, we're back for the pre-match. We'll figure out whether Seb and I are going to do that live on Friday or whether we'll just put that out Friday morning. And then Flagship back here, as always, 8 p.m. Sunday.
To talk about Sheffield Wednesday and Plymouth both getting deducted 12 points, yeah?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, the dodgy accounting or them registering a
amortization,
playing an unregistered player and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we'll be lots
stadium
of
sale in the wrong year.
It's like the old Sunday morning, Ipswich Sunday morning used to be playing a player under an assumed name. That's always a good one.
There you go. Lots of anonymous tip-offs to the FA next week.
Mr. Chansiri's taxi firm, yeah. Dave, last word from you.
Struggling really. Oh, can Christmas cake last till Easter?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So send us tweets. When is the last
when's the cut off? Literally, when's the cut off?
Acceptable time. I tell you what, if Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday both go into admin, I don't know what I'll do
on air.
Cake.
Eat it on air.
If they both go into admin, Ben is going to keep his.
What do we say about private jokes on the pod, Dave?
Oh, sorry.
Right, thanks everybody for watching, listening. Get across the Telegram, join us over there. Hit the thumbs up button if you're on YouTube before you go. Make sure you subscribe everywhere, all of that good stuff. And yes, another exciting week as the run-in starts to kick into gear. We'll see you all soon.